Hey there, I'm Joey from EDHREC, and today we're taking the concept of a commander deck to a whole new level. I'd like to introduce you to my commander deck, where every single card must refer to the commander. Let's explain how we got here. With the release of the new Baldur's Gate backgrounds, which modify commander creatures, I immediately started thinking about an all backgrounds deck to super pump up a fun commander. A lot of folks have taken this approach with Tuvasa decks lately, for example, crafting a truly epic Voltron Enchantress deck with her. And I highly recommend checking out my buddy Lenny Woolley's Sisay background check article too. It is so good. Lenny is an extraordinarily clever brewer. There are links to his socials and his articles and his work with the Scrap Trawlers channel in the description box below. For my purposes, I knew that I wanted to make a deck that had a bunch of backgrounds in it specifically because, well, I really like playing partner decks. I love having two commanders. And with two commanders, that's twice as many benefits from those background bonuses. Like, imagine two commanders that are both raised by giants, two commanders that are double striking with Flaming Fist, twice as much card advantage when both commanders are Tavern Brawlers. Since each color only has about 6 backgrounds, naturally I wanted to play as many colors as possible to fill out the deck, so I immediately looked at multicolored partners, namely the Friends Forever pair of Cecily and Othelm. However, no shade to this pair, but when I started looking through the backgrounds that I was most excited to actually play, these two don't seem to have a whole lot to do with all of those enchantments. Like, what I wanted was two commanders that make Inspiring Leader buff up a bunch of tokens by +4/+4. In fact, as I ruminated on it, quite a few of these backgrounds have a lot to do with tokens. And as long as that's the case, it rather seems like Tana the Bloodsower would have a lot of fun with this concept, especially since so many of these backgrounds care about attacking too. Of course, that means we now have to pick another original partner that gives us access to the colors that we want most. And when looking through the available options, I had to concede that the blue backgrounds seemed least like they would cooperate with the goal of the other potential backgrounds. Dungeons or artifacts didn't seem like they would do a whole lot for a combative or creature tokeny strategy, for example. Thus, Tana could pair up with either Ravos or Tymna. Initially, I was going to pick Ravos for the partner, but that's the moment when yet another thought struck me. Again, I love playing partner decks. I really like having two commanders that share a goal and divide their responsibilities. And I especially love the clever tricks that you can pull off when you have two commanders, such as the Commander Storm cards, which tick up for each commander that you're casting from the command zone. So what if, for this background deck, we didn't just play a bunch of backgrounds, but we also played a bunch of other commander-focused cards as well? And thus, the commander deck was born. You know, I don't always commit to a super strict theme for my EDH decks, but when I do, I make sure that they're ridiculously meta, apparently. That's right, we're going all in. Every single card must refer to a commander. I don't mean like Siege Gang Commander or Commander Graven Elvek or even Commandeer. I mean that they must refer to a commander card. Like Commander Storm cards granting us tons of benefits because they will tick up twice as fast. Or the Familiars from the very first Commander Legends set, which will, much like the backgrounds, grant their benefits to 2 legends instead of 1. And heck, there are a ton of lieutenants out there too. They don't count their effects twice, of course, when we control 2 commanders. They only care if we control a commander at all. So these effects may not stack, but we have a much higher likelihood of keeping our lieutenants happy when we have 2 commanders. And besides, these effects are just so potent and really fun. Speaking of which, the Will Cycle. We're twice as likely to control a commander, so we'll usually get both benefits whenever we cast one of these cards. And these are some powerhouse effects. Oh, but that's not all. Not even close. Bastion Protector, Guardian Augmenter, and Bloodsworn Steward each pump up both commanders and give them excellent keywords. Seriously, these are such excellent cards for just about any partner deck. And then we get to some funny ones. Flamekin Herald gives us 2 cascade effects, which is minimal bonus, but still fun. Crimson Honor Guard punishes folks if they're not as dedicated to their commanders as we are. I really like Bio-Waste Blob because it doubles itself every turn if we control a commander, and that can get really out of hand. And did you know that Jarina Kudrow counts every time you've cast all of your commanders from the command zone this game too? You know what? Heck, I'll even play Commander's Insignia and Myth Unbound in this deck. Are they good cards? Heck no. But are they on theme? Abso-flippin'-lutely. Naturally, decks need help with stuff like mana acceleration, card advantage, and removal, so that's where we have to get clever. The free spells from Ikoria are useful here, although Deadly Rollick is expensive as heck, dang. But generally, each of these helps us blank an enemy action, which is very helpful. There's also the new Astarion's Thirst to exile creatures and pump up a commander, which is perfection. As for board wipes, we have Slash the Ranks and Cloudkill, which are certainly not the best in their league. But who cares? We found on-theme board wipes. I'm in all the way. We only have a few options to pick for card advantage too, like Tome of Legends and Stinging Study, and this is actually why I decided to go with Tymna as the second partner for this deck. We gotta keep up on the card advantage somehow, and in any case, she just fits in really well with the rest of the deck's through line, since, much like her, a lot of our payoffs either reward or encourage combat. How about mana acceleration, though? Well, that's trickier. We have Commander Sphere and Arcane Signet, and we are very happy about that. I don't see other mana accelerants out there that directly mention commanders, though. Well, okay, actually, there is Jeweled Lotus, which is very on theme and extraordinarily fair in a deck that is this silly. I don't own a Jeweled Lotus, but still, it's really thematic, and in a deck like this, I'd be very hard-pressed to call it broken. Could we add in other staple ramp effects to help make sure that this deck runs more smoothly? Yeah, I guess, but are we gonna? Nope, because we are committing to that theme. We won't even play any non-basic lands unless they refer to a commander. So Opal Palace, Study Hall, Forge of Heroes, these cards are jank, but they will have to do. And Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Command Beacon, Witch's Clinic, we're happy to have you. And voila, here it is, our Commander deck. Is it jank? Hell yes, and that's why we like it. I've already used a bunch of these cards in my other decks in ways that seek to optimize their efficacy, but here, we're just having a good time with a silly concept. This is a silly idea that bloomed into something that I realized I was suddenly so excited to start playing. And so far, when I have gotten to play it, I just cannot contain my enthusiasm about it. It is so fun, y'all! The mana fixing is super tough, but so many of the cards have low mana pip requirements that I've never felt completely locked out of playing it. Sometimes things don't align when trying to play this deck, but man, when the stars do align, it's just so much fun. And also, there are more than a few cards that I'm keeping in the maybe board too, just to see how I feel about them as time goes on. I'm very sure that I'll keep tinkering with this deck as new commander-centric cards are released in the future. And also, I'm sure that many folks out there would have preferred that a deck like this included blue to help with more card advantage and consistency. But so far, I'm just overjoyed by this brewing experience. And what I'm most happy about is that it hasn't stayed purely as a concept. It's a silly idea, and it's fun to play. Like, let me take you through some highlights. Tana and Tymna both become cultists of the Absolute, pumping up to be huge flyers and then snacking on all the sapperlings that Tana makes. They both are master chefs and inspiring leaders, so every sapperling is actually huge. And then, plot twist, they also turn out to be agents of the Iron Throne, so if anyone wipes the board, that means that our opponents might actually perish from all of those death triggers. As hardy Outlanders who were also raised by giants, every attack they make pumps each other up for nearly lethal. They are noble and pump up every turn, but they're also agents who pump up every turn, as well as tavern brawlers that pump up every turn, and they make dragons as a result of all of it. And then late game, casting a Genesis Storm might pull us into 3 or 4 or 5 new critters and new histories to help these commanders even more. They'll attack with impunity because of their cadre of loyal pets. And opponents might try to get tricksy and cast huge spells on us, but we can Fury Storm to copy those spells several times for ourselves first. All we have to do when playing this deck is hope that no one else casts a Dranith Magistrate, because if they do, we might be in trouble. This deck is just a total blast, so I had to share it with all of you. I consider this deck a love letter to the Commander format, and I'm excited to see how it evolves. And if you're interested in the deck list, you can find a link in the description below. All right, now I gotta hear from y'all though. Like, what's the funkiest theme that you've ever built around for a commander deck? And do you commit to that theme 100%? Or do you have any tips and tricks to share with your fellow players about ways to balance out the staples that a deck might need with that thematic twist? Let us know down in the comments below, and until next time, remember to EDH wreck your deck before you wreck your deck.